Hello, this is Jim Kaufman with Rankin Technical College. I wanted to go over a few things on setting up the environment, and this is for the Programming and Fundamentals with C Sharp, the fall semester 2024. First thing I kind of want to go over real quick here is the recommended specifications for the hardware for your either your laptop or your PC. And this isn't in stone, like you have to have it, this exactly, but it's just kind of a overall recommendation. So right here, it says laptop. This kind of meant more for the in-person courses, but actually, it's laptop or PC. As far as operating system, it's suggested Windows 10 or 11, and having a 64-bit processor. And these are just recommended. You can have others than this. RAM's very important. It says a minimum of 4. It'd be better to have much more than 4. This recommended is 16. I believe, like I have 32 on mine. I have a newer PC though. So a minimum space is very important for this course because you're going to be downloading a lot of stuff, and you're going to need a lot of space on your hard drive. So this is minimal space. It says 20 to 50 gig. Okay. So I'm going to show you actually a couple things here on how to determine. So as far as space, let me show you, and I'm going to kind of do this really at a basic. I don't know people's experience, with laptops and PCs, but if you hold down the Windows key and the E key, it'll bring up a Windows Explorer. Okay, so let me bring up the Windows Explorer here, and on that, so if you go ahead on the C drive, which is generally the Windows drive here, you right click and click Properties. This will show you how much used space and free space you have. Like I said, I have a newer laptop here, so I have a significant amount. But this is just to let you know, especially down here, you can see the used space is in blue here, and here's your gray is your free space. So obviously, if you've got this almost covered in all blue, it'd be beneficial to either definitely either get a different PC or laptop, or clean up a lot of what you have on there so you can make room for this course. Okay. That, and as far as these other specifications on what you have on yours, if you go to settings on your PC or laptop, if you go to settings and system and about, you will see something similar to this. Actually, I made a screenshot because some of this stuff is kind of private as far as device ID and stuff like this. But here's mine, and it'll show you the different settings you have. And so here's my processor and 64-bit, right? So this will give you a little bit of information on your device, and also here's my Windows. I have Windows 11. Okay. All right. So as far as setting up your environment, I'm not going to go through all of these. I think some of them are pretty straightforward. So install Discord and and join the virtual classroom. You basically just download it, create an account, and then go ahead and join the virtual classroom by clicking the little plus button and then join a server, and then you paste this URL in there. Okay. And Discord, we'll be using Discord maybe just for doing a little texting back and forth between myself as the instructor and you as the student. We may be doing some other things. I think for the most part, I was planning on using Teams for the daily meetings that we'll have. We may switch over to Discord to do that. I can stream it from Discord as well. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and use Microsoft Teams. But it's still a good idea to go ahead and get Discord. So maybe, we can always, like I said, for texting. And then also maybe, I might have during the semester, there'll be some times that maybe we'll join a voice channel so we can communicate that way as well here and there. Okay. Let's see. And then as far as these, install an ad blocker is just suggest it. It's not required. I have my installed on mine, and Notepad plus plus as well. The ones that are really important is GitHub Desktop is very important, and getting the Visual Source Studio installed. Them are like the most important ones. And also, we want to make sure that you get your repository all set up for the classroom, for our class. Okay. So here I'm going to go ahead. I went ahead and uninstalled some of the software. It might look a little different than when you do it because a lot of times some of the stuff on your PC gets kind of cached a little bit in some different files on Windows, so it might look a little bit different. But I'm going to go ahead and go through a few of these installs. So for the Git, you can go ahead and click on this. And let's see, it came up over here. Okay. And then for this, you can basically just go ahead and click download for Windows. Obviously, if you have a Mac or you're using a Linux or Linux version, you can do this. But for this class, it's really suggested that you use a Windows machine. You might have some difficulties with using a Mac and so forth. So here you can go ahead and just basically this first one for the 64-bit. This is the latest version of Git. You just click on this. It will download. And another thing, I basically use, for the most part, I use Google Chrome. You can obviously use Edge or another browser, but, I just suggest you use Chrome, but that's up to you. So here I'm just going to click on this. The other way to do it is after you download it. I'm not sure where things, you could have it configured a little differently on your system than mine. Mine goes to a download folder, but you just need to figure out where you're downloading stuff. When you click something to download it, you need to determine where that is. So you might need to do like we did the Windows Explorer before, hitting the Windows and the E key, and then figure out, where your stuff's being downloaded. Because it can be changed. By default, it's always downloads, but it could be different depending on how you may have set things up. And that's usually a browser setting on where things are getting downloaded from the browser. Okay. For me, I just clicked on it from this downloads up here on the right-hand side of the browser. Okay. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and accept the defaults here. We're going to go under Program Files Git. We'll hit Next. And this may look a little different for you than me, because I did have some special stuff going on. But basically, we're just going to go ahead and accept most of this. The important things, let me go back to that setting up environment real quick. The important thing is, for Git, is, this would be useful if you download Notepad to use that as your default editor. But even more important, make sure that you enable the file system caching and enable Git Credential Manager if you're prompted for that. Okay, if you're prompted for either of those, make sure you select those. So here, I'm going to do Notepad as my default editor. Hit Next. I'm going to let Git decide. So you make sure you got this Git Credential Manager selected and enable file system caching. Hit Next here and hit Install. Okay, and here, so we completed the setup wizard. I am just going to click, I'm not going to view the release notes, and we're going to hit finish here. Then one way to, make sure it was actually installed is if you go ahead and go down to your taskbar, click on the little 4 window panes here, the windows, and in here you can just type in the letter CMD, and that's short for command prompt. All right, and then if you open that, if you just go ahead and type the word git right here, so you see that all of this came back, so that actually means that it found it. It's just telling you, you're going to have to add other commands to actually use git. But since you're seeing this git, it's telling you about all these different functions that are available, these commands that are available, then you know it's been installed. If it hasn't been installed correctly and you typed in git there, then if it said cannot find git, then that means it wasn't actually installed correctly. Okay. Sometimes you used to have to change your, there's like an environment variables, you have to change your path to add, but this install generally goes ahead and takes care of that for you. Okay, so that's installing Git. And then what are we going to do here next? Okay, then we're going to go ahead and install this GitHub desktop. Someone hit Control, click that, and we're over here. And we can just click, you've got the download here, download for Windows 64-bit. We'll click on that. And then up here, the top right-hand side of the browser, showed it's down, it's almost downloaded here. Yeah, it's done. And we'll click on it. And this one's real fast. It's saying it's being installed. And as soon as it's installed, it will open up for you. And this is what you'll see. Let's get started. So for now, I'm just going to minimize this because we're going to be coming back to this later. And after that, okay, we're going to go ahead and install Visual Studio 2022 Community version. So if we go ahead and go to this URL, I guess I didn't link that one. Go to that. Let's see here. So Visual Studio 2022, it has 3 different versions, the community version, professional, and enterprise. These are free trials, but you really don't want to choose these because they will expire. There's some extra bells and whistles, so to speak, some extra functionality on these other versions, but we're just going to be using the community version. And so you got your free download here, and we click on that. And then we're just going to go ahead and save that to our downloads. And I'm going to click on it. Yes, here. Click continue. And this might take you a little while longer than me. It depends. I have a very fast connection on that. So it all depends on your connection and speed. Plus, it's probably picking up some things from some configuration. But so as you can see the location down here at the very bottom, you'll see this location here. And it's showing where it's actually deployed to. So this is where it installed it. So for this here, there is other options that you can use on here, but for the most part, what we're going to be doing is using this one here. I believe that that's exactly the one in the let's just look at our thing here. So the desktop and mobile, the .NET desktop development, and that includes window forms and console apps, and that's what we'll be doing in this course, the window forms and console apps. So we're just going to go ahead and choose this one. Now we could, there's other things to choose on here, but you know, for now, this is good enough, and this will get you pretty much through the course. You know, if we need to install something later on, we can always do that. And this will be a little less. The more you select here, the bigger the install is going to be, right? So, and you know, this one's gonna, you know, total space required. This is almost 7 gig, right? So, you know, that's significant, especially if you don't have a lot of extra space on your PC or laptop, right? So this shows what it's gonna install up here. And we go down here to the bottom right, we can just click the install button. And this might take a little bit, so I'm just going to pause this video and come back when we're done. Okay, so that installed completely. I guess it took about 7 minutes for me. So it's all going to depend on your internet speed and also the speed of your computer. So here on this, I think we just go ahead and skip this for now. You know, this is only if you want to sync settings between different devices and so forth. So we're just going to go ahead and skip this. And sure, why not? We'll just start it so you can look at it real quick. And so this is what it looks like here. It's picking up some stuff I had before, so yours probably won't have anything in here. So go ahead and close that for now. So let's go. So yeah, I kind of did want to mention real quick. So you probably should, you know, pause your video. When I was doing the install of the Visual Studio, you might as well just pause it and wait till you've got it completely installed before you come back and continue here. So now we've got Visual Studio installed. And just to kind of mention, I should have mentioned this earlier. So Visual Studio is really just about, it's called an IDE, which is called an Integrated Development Environment. And it's where you can, create your code. It's where you do your coding, and also meaning an IDE as opposed to just a regular editor. So there's lots of different editors out there, but you know, and there's quite a few IDEs as well, but there's a lot of editors out there, but all you do is really, you're using it just to create your code. Then you got to get out of there and run your code outside of there. Well, the thing about an IDE, it's integrated where you can do different things in there besides just your code. You can actually run the program within there, do other testing and other functionality as well. So that's kind of what an IDE is. And this is the one we'll be using throughout this course to write our code for the C# for the different window forms and console apps. Okay. And I might as well review real quick. So as far as Git is concerned, Git is a version control system. And what that is it's a system that it's an open source version control system, which it tracks your file changes in that. And so like if you make changes, it knows that you made changes to that file. But it has to be within a repository for it to know that. And so, you know, we'll get into that in a little bit, okay, what a repository is. And the GitHub desktop is just a way to actually, when you change your code locally and you open up the GitHub desktop, as long as it's configured correctly, it'll show you all the changes you made to your code. And what you can do with the GitHub desktop is you can push things. You'll have a repository that'll be on the internet called, GitHub, a GitHub repository on the internet, and you use this GitHub desktop to push your code into the repository on the internet. And also you can use GitHub to pull code off of there. And so you'll see circumstances where we'll be doing both of those. Okay. So we've got Studio. So the next thing is we want to go ahead and register our register at GitHub Classroom. And this is GitHub Classroom's a thing for classrooms, obviously for instructor, student, and that's where you'll link to a repository, and then I can bring up the classroom and see all the students' repositories, so then I can go in there and look at your code to for grading purposes, right? So here on this, we're just going to grab this. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and follow this link. You can click that, or you can cut and paste it. I'm doing it this way because I have multiple versions of things on my PC, and sometimes it can be a challenge. Let me actually go to an incognito window. So here, I'm going to go here. And so if you don't have a GitHub repository, so most of you probably don't, what you're going to do is go ahead and come in here, and you're going to click Create an Account. Okay. And then just go ahead and follow this. I have multiple emails, and I think almost every email I have already have an account. So you'll need to go ahead and follow this. Just follow this through. Go through the steps. And let me see what it says here on our. So you're going to click Create a New Account. Make sure you use first name _ last name. If for some reason it's already if you've got a very popular name, if John Smith or something like that, you're going to have to put a number or something else on there, because that's already taken, because it's got to be a unique name. So if your first name last name is already taken, then you just kind of add something to it to make it unique. And it's just telling you not to use a gamer tag or anything like that. Once an account has been created and you are logged in, so once you've created your account and logged in, then follow this link again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back here. And so here I'm going to log in. So I have, kind of an account as an instructor, and I set up I have another account as a kind of like a student, so I can kind of follow along. It helps me, and it helps for me to go ahead and demonstrate some things to you. So this is going to be like my student account. And so then what you're going to do is you're going to come in here. So you've already got your repository set up. And you're going to come in here and you're going to select here. Let me make sure I'm following this right. Click through the process of creating your online repository. Yes. So come in here, and then you're going to look for your name in this list. So here's mine, Jim Kaufman, student. This is the student one I have. And it says your account is linked to Jim Kaufman on this roster. If this is wrong, please reach out to your instructor. And then what you're going to do is, once you do that, you go ahead and accept this assignment. And then go ahead and click on this. And then you'll go to this repository. So this is a repository that basically, this is just a boilerplate one. And this is kind of I set this all up. Actually, I'm using one that we've kind of used for this class before. And so from different instructors. So we'll kind of go through some of these different directories later. But here's one that has chapters, and here's chapter 2 and 3 of the book. Chapter 1, these are from the publisher, and these are only 2 that the publisher provides. So here's a PDF for chapter 2 and 3. And actually for chapter 1, it's kind of just really a basic introductory chapter. You know, we won't have any homework or assignments related to really chapter 1. It'll be chapter 2 and 3 will be our assignments, okay? Starting out the first week. Make sure we go up to the very root directory up here. And when you have this little green thing, right, this little green button, and go ahead and we're going to use this one right here. And we're just going to go ahead and click this to copy this to the board. And this is basically your repository. And it has .git on it, okay? And it has a HTTPS at the beginning. You're not going to use either one of these. You're just going to use this HTTPS one, okay? And we're going to copy that, all right? And then from there, we're going to open up GitHub Desktop. So let's open that up. And what we're going to do here, we're going to follow this. And you're going to say, click File, Clone Repository. I guess that's the same as here, though. File, Clone Repository. So here we want to go ahead and put the URL, right? We're under this URL. And then we're going to choose a path. So the next thing I guess you really need to do is you need to determine where you're wanting to create a folder at to host your stuff. You can put it wherever you want. You just need to make sure that you know where you're doing it. So let's just go ahead, for the sake of keeping things simple here, I'm just going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this folder GitHub, just like this. Or maybe I'll here. So here's my path to that. And then I'm going to go ahead back to the desktop. And so I could have browsed right there, but I just went ahead and grabbed it there. So here's our repository, right? We got that URL from clicking the clone button, the code button on the GitHub repository. And then we're going to go ahead and put it here. So then we're just going to click clone. Okay, I think this is coming up because I have done some things myself, and you know, I have different accounts. So I don't think this should come up for you, but for if this does, just make sure you just choose for my own purposes. It's really your own, it's your own repository, okay? But I really don't think that's going to come up for you. Okay, and then you'll see here it said create a repository. Here's your repository. And so we'll go into, you know, in the next couple days of, you know, next week, or starting Monday, Tuesday, the 26th, 27th, we'll look into, you know, how to use this GitHub desktop a little more, okay? But for now, we do want to come in here and make sure you have all these different directories. And there's some things in a few of these directories. We'll go through this. We'll go through this later. But as long as you got this, you should be good to go. So I think that we're about done here on this. Yeah, I mean, you know, we're going to use this too. This is for like wireframes. This is for like creating, you know, kind of prototypes of something. And it's just a way of building something out so you can see what something looks like before you actually build the code. Okay. But we won't be using this until later on in the semester. But here's the product and the product ID and the license for that. Okay. So that's all I have on this. Please let me know if you have any questions or have any problems setting up your environment. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Have a good day.